Good morning, boys and girls. It's Miss S, and we're back for another video on YouTube. And today, my shirt says, I love my class a latte. I love you guys so much, and I miss you. I wish that we could be together and we didn't have to be communicating through a computer, but just know that I'm thinking about you and that I love you and I miss every single one of you. So, today we have a reading lesson, and during this reading lesson, we're going to be talking, actually all week, we're going to be talking about authors and illustrators. Boys and girls, who is an illustrator? Who is an illustrator? An illustrator draws the pictures. And who is an author? Who's an author? If an illustrator draws the pictures, what does an author do? They write the words. Very good. So the author writes the story and the illustrator creates the pictures. Now, boys and girls, sometimes an author and an illustrator can be the same person. Sometimes people write the words and draw the pictures for one book. It doesn't have to be two different people. But for other stories, sometimes there's a different person who draws the pictures and there's a different person who writes the words. These are the two books that we're going to talk about this week. Today, we are going to talk about Little Cloud. Okay? Little Cloud. And all we're going to do, boys and girls, with this story is we're just going to look at the pictures and try to tell a story with the pictures. All we're doing is reading the title. Little Cloud. Now let's look through these pictures and see if we can tell a story. Wow, this is a beautiful illustration. What is this a picture of? What do we think this is? Think about what the title said. The title said Little Cloud. So what do we think this is a picture of? There are no right or wrong answers, boys and girls. It's just the way that our brains look at the picture and the way they process it, the way that we interpret it. The way that I interpret it might be different from Lazire, or Jalen, or Jewels, or Julia, okay? I might think this is a different picture than somebody else. Miss S thinks that this looks like clouds. That's what I think this is. So, again, I'm not going to read the words. We're just looking at the pictures. All right, here's our first picture. What's happening in this picture? What do we see? I see some big clouds. And then I'm thinking about my title because I'm thinking about what the book has told me. And the title is Little Cloud. Do you see a little cloud on this page? I see it. So we have some big clouds, and here's a little cloud. What else is happening now? Because remember, we can tell stories by looking at the pictures. That's what they're for. Okay? They're like clues to what the words are actually telling us about. So we can decide what we think this story is all about before we even read the words. And then when we read the words, it's going to make so much more sense because we've already thought so deeply about the story. I see the little cloud. Oh. What's this? It's a big, big cloud. What's happening here? Yeah, it looks like an animal. It looks like a sheep. This cloud looks like a sheep. Boys and girls, have you ever been outside or in a car or even looked out your window like Miss S can look out her window right now and look up at the clouds And I can imagine that I can use my imagination and think, that cloud looks like a sheep. Or that cloud looks like a face. Have you ever seen things in the clouds, boys and girls? If you have never looked at a cloud and thought that it maybe reminded you of an animal or of some type of picture, I encourage you today, because there's lots of clouds out today, to go outside and look out your window and see if you can see any shapes in the clouds. Use your imagination. What's this? What does this cloud look like? An airplane. I think it looks like an airplane. Let's see. What does that look like? A shark. Very good. So look, boys and girls, these pictures. Oh my gosh, what's this? Trees. What does that look like? Looks like a specific kind of tree. Maybe around a holiday. A Christmas tree. So boys and girls, look at what these pictures are telling us. What do we think? Let's pause. What do we think that this story is about? The last few pictures have shown us some clouds in different shapes. So what do you think the words are talking about? We haven't read a single word, but what do you think the words are talking about? Miss S thinks that we know from the title, we're talking about clouds. We know from the pictures that we're talking about clouds. We can see back here we have a bunch of clouds. So I think that this story is talking about using our imagination to see shapes in the clouds. I wonder if that's it. Is that what you thought too? Or did you think something different? So what is this? What is this cloud? Looks like a bunny, or even kind of like a dog, but I think a bunny, but some of you might see a dog or a cat. What do you think this looks like? I think it looks like a hat. Miss S can put it on her head. What is this cloud? Do you recognize something that is on his head? Let's look. Boom. Maybe two clouds came together. Looks like a clown, doesn't it? Now, what do we have here again? What do you see down here? The little cloud. What happened in this picture? What happened? What's happening? It is raining. Why are we talking about clouds and rain? Do they have any? Do they go together? Do clouds and rain go together? That's right. It can't rain unless there are clouds outside. So boys and girls, today it's supposed to rain. Later on this afternoon, it's supposed to rain outside. So maybe that's why there's so many clouds in the sky. Because it's supposed to rain. The end. So boys and girls, we just looked at all of the pictures in this book, and we were able to kind of create our own story, to look at the pictures and interpret them the way that our brains want to, and think about what the author, what the illustrator is trying to tell us. So what do you think the illustrator was trying to tell us in this story? What was he trying to tell us? Eric Carle is our illustrator and our author. But Eric Carle was our illustrator. What was Eric trying to tell us? What was Mr. Carle trying to tell us with these pictures? He was trying to tell us about clouds, and he was showing us that clouds can turn into different objects if we use our imagination. So now, boys and girls, I'm going to read this story, and I want you to decide, were you right about the things that you thought the pictures were telling you? Or do you maybe need to change your mind a little bit, where there may be some misconceptions? A misconception is just kind of like a mistake in our brain. We thought something meant one thing, but really it means something else. So maybe we thought this was an airplane. That could be our misconception, that we thought this was an airplane, but maybe it's actually something else. But we can only find out if we read the words. So I'm going to read this story to us, and I want you to think if you were right. Little Cloud by Eric Carle. So now we looked at all of the pictures that he drew, that he was the illustrator for. Now we're going to read all of the words. We're going to read the author. We're going to read the words that he wrote. And when you write the words, you are the author. Okay. The clouds drifted slowly across the sky. Little Cloud trailed behind. The clouds pushed upward and away. Little Cloud pushed downward and touched the tops of the houses and trees. The clouds moved out of sight. Little Cloud changed into a giant cloud. Little Cloud changed into a sheep. Sheep and clouds sometimes look alike. Little Cloud changed into an airplane. Little Cloud often saw airplanes flying through the clouds. We were right. Little Cloud changed into a shark. Little Cloud once saw a shark through the waves of the ocean. Little Cloud changed into 2 trees. Little Cloud liked the way trees never moved and stayed in one place. Little Cloud changed into a rabbit. Little Cloud loved to watch rabbits dash across the meadows. It is a rabbit. Not a dog, not a cat, but the words are telling us a rabbit. Then Little Cloud changed into a hat because Little Cloud changed into a clown and needed a hat. The other clouds drifted back. They huddled close together. Little Cloud, they called out, come back. Little Cloud drifted towards the big clouds. Then all the clouds changed into one big cloud and rained. The end. So were we right about some of the things that this story was talking about? Were we right? Miss S realizes that she was a little wrong. I thought that this story was going to be about using our imagination to see different shapes in the clouds, because that is what I have done in my life. So I used things from my life to help me interpret the pictures. Okay? When you interpret something, it's the way that your brain thinks about it. So my brain thought, I've looked up at the clouds and I've daydreamed and seen shapes in the clouds. So that's what I thought this story was telling us. But what was this story really telling us? It was telling us about how the little cloud, how he saw different things while he was way up in the sky. Like he saw trees and he said they never moved. So he turned himself into trees. So maybe it's not just our imagination when we look up at the clouds. Maybe the clouds have a mind of their own. Clouds don't have minds of their own, but we could imagine that, right? So boys and girls, I am so proud of you for following along. We just talked about how pictures can help us interpret a story. And remember, interpret means helps us think about the story. Helps our mind decide what we think it's all about. So we just looked at pictures and we thought about what the story could be about. And then after we looked at the pictures, we read the words. So what I want you to do is I want you to go on to Epic Books or go on to Raz Kids, and I want you to find a book that just based on the title and on the cover interests you. And I want you to go and look at all the pictures. Click right on through. That's the only time Miss S is going to tell you to just click on through. I want you to click through, and I want you to decide what you think that story is going to be about based on the illustrations in the story. And remember, illustrations are the pictures. Then you can go back and read the story and decide if you had any misconceptions. We saw that Miss S had a misconception, so let's see if you have any, or let's see if you're spot on. Okay, boys and girls, this has been our literacy lesson for today. I hope that you go on to Raz Kids or Epic Books and do this on your own, and I will see you tomorrow. Happy learning!